Welcome back. So, last time we learned why Hermes is sad, and we met Vena, or Venat, if you want to say the T, because, like, she's the only one who's not Greek for some reason. And she was just immediately like, oh, you're from the future, because I see my protective spell on you. And we're like, yeah, we are. So now we're gonna tell everyone the story. Welcome to my temporary abode. Please make yourself at home while I put on some tea.
Ah, a wonderful aroma. I feel more relaxed already.
Would that I had sweetmeats to offer, but I travel light out of habit. There's plenty of hot water though, so please have as much tea as you like. Now then, will you tell us your tale?
Looks like we can say a calamity called the final days has befallen the world. The world has been sundered, broken into shards. Mankind is being forced to flee the star. Doesn't matter which one we start with.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
Okay. They're talking about Asians and Hydaelyn and Amarot.
Preposterous. Utterly preposterous.
While not the words I would have chosen, I too have my doubts. Much of it borders on the incredulous. What of you, Vanar?
Not knowing the precise details of the first final days, it is difficult to determine the veracity of the tale. Supposing it is all true, I must ask myself why I would do what I did. Why would I feel I had no recourse but to oppose the 14 and create this Hydaelyn? Circumstances change, of course, but it would not have been an easy decision regardless. No, there must have been a reason. One compelling enough to force me to take such drastic measures. Then there is the Elpis flower, which I said would serve as a guide. That it's of import to your mission is plain, but your presence here leads me to believe that this place also holds significance. But what could it be? What are we meant to accomplish?
Might it not be simply thus? In the future, whence she came, the final days could not be averted. Mankind has no choice but to flee the star. By alerting us to that eventuality, perhaps you wish to pave the way for other futures.
Theoretically speaking, it is a possibility. Yet if that were my primary objective, I see no reason to guide our friend to Elpis specifically. The capital in Amarot, or even my own home would be more logical destinations.
True, true. I note also that Hydaelyn did not specify a point in time to which she must return. By this, it may be inferred that it was not critical that we should meet.
Alternately, she had reason to believe that our paths would converge, coincidental though it may seem.
This is quite a puzzle, and we do not have all the pieces.
Hardly any. But we do have one immutable fact. If the final days are indeed as described, they will bring death to all that I hold dear. Yet despite being afforded long years of preparation, the only provisions I could make were for flight. Nay, my first and foremost endeavor would be to find a way to forestall the coming doom.
Given that even the 14 failed, mayhap you deemed it impossible.
Nothing is impossible. This I have always believed. And if Hydaelyn is indeed me, she would believe the same.
Listen to yourself. Are you seriously entertaining the notion that you are a messianic figure in some far-fetched tale? Well, I will not. I refuse to accept that our world could be undone by some unforeseen calamity. I also take offense to my portrayal as a megalomaniacal madman. To sacrifice oneself for the star is a noble act, and I would hold those who gave themselves to this zodiac in the highest esteem. Yet, you claim I recreated Amarot and populated it with phantoms of our people? A bizarre indulgence that would be insulting to their memory. Worse still, I even invited you there. Literally invited my own downfall. Why would I do something so idiotic and inexplicable? Now, I will allow that the hypothetical task of restoring our world would be daunting in the extreme. The thought of having to bear such a burden for 1,000 lives horrifies me. But I would never forsake my duty. I would never forsake my brethren. You do not know me. I've had my fill of your fiction. I will return to my duty, and you will not bother me again.
Well,
So, wait!
You've seen much of Elpis already. If you have any observations to share, I should like to hear them.
Dynamis is the key to all this. Hermes and Meteon are somehow involved. I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Hermes and Meteon are somehow involved. Elsewise, why would we have met them?
Hermes and his creation Meteon, you say? If Dynamis is the self-same energy as Akasha, as it likely seems, then those two may well be at the center of the calamity to come. This warrants further investigation. With that settled, it is time for action. The missing pieces of the puzzle are here, I'm certain of it. And when you find them, the picture my future self has painted will be complete, and you will have your answer. And suffice it to say, I will aid you in your quest. Have faith. If Emmet Selk is the man Azum described to me, we've not seen the last of him.
Shall we begin our investigations then? I am acquainted with Hermes, of course, but only as a visitor received by the Chief Overseer of Elpis. Of the man himself, I know only that which is common knowledge. Thus I suggest we fall back on the tried and true method of conversing with the locals. The observers who live here can surely tell us more of Hermes and Meteon, and I have a good idea where we might begin. Okay. See the woman standing in front of yonder building. Her name is Ismene. She is the one who made arrangements for my stay in Elpis, and from what I recall, she has held the position here for quite some time. Chances are she can provide us with some insights. Go and ask your questions. I will help with drawing out answers if need be, but I leave the choice of topic up to you. Hello, Ismene. Questions for me? Well, I suppose I have no other pressing duties at the moment. We will begin asking questions. Greetings, Ismene. My friend here is desperately curious about Chief Hermes, and I was wondering if you might indulge her. Certainly, Mistress Venar. Anything to be of service. What do you wish to know? What kind of person is Hermes? Well, I can only answer from my own experience, but I would describe him as a quiet man, reserved, you might say, and occasionally somewhat poor with his choice of words. His reticent nature, however, does not prevent him from carrying out his duties as Chief Overseer. The man is a walking archive when it comes to life forms. He can discuss any species in great detail, and is the leading authority on concepts with the power of flight. I hope that answers your question. Was there anything else? How long has Meteon been here? I cannot rightly say. As the Chief's personal creation, Meteon has not been subjected to observation and study like other concepts. So, one day, she was simply there. What do you make of her abilities? I understand that she is a highly unusual familiar, able to read emotions and communicate directly with one's mind. Exactly how she was created with that talent, however, is a mystery to me. My apologies. I wish I could explain her nature in more depth, but I've not had occasion to discuss it with Chief Hermes. Do you trust him? I beg your pardon. I've known Chief Hermes for many years. Though I cannot say we are close, he has never withheld information to the detriment of our duties, if that is what you mean. Forgive us, we seem to have veered slightly off course here. Is there perhaps someone else who could tell us more about Meteon? That would be Timaeus. He has a similar expertise with flying concepts, and is more than eager to discuss the subject. You'll find him conducting his observation on the banks of the stream somewhere to the east. Oh, and unless you take a particular joy in rambling discourse, I suggest you keep your questions concise. And we shall keep that in mind. Thank you for your patience and your insight. Then think nothing of it. If there is aught else you need during your stay, please do not hesitate to ask. Come, Oscar. I think we've taken enough of Ismini's time. Bum, bum, bum. Our investigation is off to a fine start, wouldn't you agree? From here, I propose we split up. I shall continue making inquiries with the resident observers. If you could track down the colleague Ismini mentioned. While I did feel compelled to interject once or twice during that previous conversation, you seem more than capable of drawing forth the answers you seek. All I ask is that you watch your footing around the stream. We can meet back here once you finish speaking with Timaeus. Okay. Let's go find Timaeus. Zerato. Hey, you're one of the muses. Hello, Timaeus. Yes, I am Timaeus, but please keep your voice down, you'll startle the birds. Begin asking questions. So, what is it you wish to speak about? What do you think of Chief Hermes' flying creations? Chief Hermes' work? A worthy subject indeed. Those beings which soar above the clouds, majestic and graceful, are ever a favourite of creators. Even now, with so many varieties in existence, the flood of newly imagined concepts continues unabated. What sets the Chief's creations apart, however, is how they benefit from his boundless knowledge of the celestial realm. Birds that climb so high that they disappear from view, others which traverse the boundless sky in moments, and all without riding the currents. I know of none save he who can conceive of such marvels. Even we who prize elegance of form above all else are dumbfounded by his genius. Meteon too is a marvel, then. My opinion on that matter would be superficial at best. Despite my admiration for Meteon as a concept, I've never delved too deeply into the inner workings of her nature. I know that she has a gift for communicating via emotions, but otherwise her abilities are a mystery to me. If Chief Hermes should choose to submit Meteon's concept to the Bureau of the Architect, then will the design be registered for public scrutiny? Analyzing a colleague's creation before that step is frowned upon, to say the least. Of course, if he came to me, a fellow artisan, looking for advice, that would be an entirely different story. I can say that I could tell him more, or I could ask what he knows about Dynamis. Let's ask what he knows about Dynamis. Dynamis and Entelechies. Those terms do sound vaguely familiar. Was there not a flower made here in Elpis which exhibited properties of one or the other? It must have been centuries since I last heard anyone speak of such things. Has there been a resurgence in interest? Then why bring up the subject? I'm flattered that you sought my insight, but I cannot afford to neglect my duties for the sake of idle chatter. Now, I really must return to my observations. Surely you have your own tasks to attend to. That probably could have ended better if I had picked the other options. Hello, Bernard. Back already? That was quick work. You were obviously clever enough to head off any of that rambling Ismini mentioned. So, have you any new findings to share? Maybe? I see. Even an expert in the field had little understanding of Meteon's capabilities, let alone an awareness of Dynamis. My questions resulted in much the same answers. Hermes' colleagues view Meteon as his personal project and could provide no details beyond those which you just told me. Which leads me to believe that the only person with any significant knowledge of Dynamis is Hermes himself. Yes, we've made some progress here, but more information is needed if we are to reach any definitive conclusions. Witness to the spectacle. At present, the strongest link we have to the final days is the power of Dynamis, and the Entelechies which can control it. Yet most scholars are only vaguely aware of these terms. let alone study them in any depth, except for Hermes, it seems. Thus I am inclined to stay our current course, and learn all we can about the Chief Overseer and his familiar. And on that subject, was there aught else of note you could tell me about Meteon, aside from her unorthodox method of communication? There's more like her. She has sisters. She and her sisters were created to journey to the stars in search for intelligent life. I rather wish you had mentioned that earlier. In any event, would you care to elaborate? So these siblings of hers now travel the great expanse in search of deeper meaning. Thank you. Though the mystery at hand remains unresolved, I feel you've touched upon a vital clue, one we should keep in mind as we continue. Next, I propose we take ourselves to Peripeteia Crystalline, not far from here. Just follow the path to the west. Okay. There you are. This tower is the one, and the one further along are both part of Peripeteia Crystalline, the facility where they archive all of Elpis' observational and testing records. Despite how they appear from the outside, the interior is actually a vast area of magically interconnected spaces, which, while fascinating, is not the reason we're here, is it? I shall cut my architectural lesson short and see what those two archivists have to share. If you could find someone to speak with over at the other tower, I shall join you there anon. Okay. Hello, archivist. You have questions for me? Certainly. Just a moment while I conclude my current appointment. Indeed, so if you could provide a comprehensive log of those behaviors, we should then have sufficient data for our official records. Now, what was it you wished to speak with me about? Dynamis Meteon. The Chief Overseer's personal personal research project? And by that, I assume you mean Meteon? Yes. Such undocumented studies are difficult to track. After all, hardly a day goes past without seeing a researcher trailed by one creation or another. I'm afraid I cannot tell you exactly when Meteon appeared, only that she now spends much of her time at Chief Hermes' side. Although, I do recall an interesting tale my dearest Galeen shared with me. Ah, Galeen is my partner, and a fellow researcher here at Elpis. She was returning late one night when she caught sight of Chief Hermes ascending Meteon heavenward, a host of them. For several days, she would speak of that scene with wonder, describing it as one of the most beautiful spectacles she had ever witnessed. That sounds like a story I should like to hear, Venar says. Ah, Mistress Venar. I thought you had already returned to the surface. Permit me to thank you again for your invaluable contribution to our concept placement proposal. Pray do not mention it. As you say, my original plan was to leave after that task, but I have since become engrossed with Chief Hermes' research. Would you favor me with a retelling of this sight which so delighted your Galeen? Of course, or you could hear it from her lips directly if you prefer. At present, she should be observing a subject in Metabasios Thalassae. Well, she does enjoy her time there, watching the sea creatures hunt and play, gazing upon the salty waters of the world's oceans, recreated in such sublime detail. I imagine you must find similar joy in indulging your boundless curiosity, Mistress Venar. even though such pursuits must continually and regretfully delay your return to the star. Indeed they do. 'Tis a rest well deserved and long overdue, I should think. How greatly have we prospered from the wisdom you accumulated during your travels as Azam. And what would Elpis be without your earlier academic work? The theories you developed served as the basis for many techniques still in use today. Man is a creature of contemplation, but none embodied that nature with as much enduring passion as you. I dare say there is not a soul alive more worthy of a return. I shall rejoice the day you depart on your final journey. I will be honored. Well, shall we take this opportunity to meet with Galeen in person? Okay. Get away from this person who wants to talk about you dying. Then allow me to reconfigure the door to the archives here. It will take you up to the Skyway and spare you the need to avoid hostile concepts on the ground. That would be most helpful, thank you. I have opened the path to the Skyway. Once you pass through the door, simply walk straight across to the next tower and ask for admittance to the upper tier. Upon arriving at the upper tier, walk straight across the Skyway and you will find yourself at the entrance to Metabasios Thalassar. Galeen will be eager to share her tale with you, I am sure. We're up high. Hello, approachable archivist. Mistress Venna, just passing through. Then allow me to prepare the path. If you need further assistance, there is always an observer or two out on the upper Skyway. Get so far ahead of us. We're up really high now. Unhurried observer. Mistress Venna, I was not told to expect. We would have prepared an official welcome. Please, there is no need for fanfare. I wish only to speak with Galeen, if that might be arranged. Yes, Galeen, of course. I will inform her immediately. But she may be engaged in a testing phase. You could be in for something of a wait. Should I let her know your business is urgent? That won't be necessary. This lovely view will keep us occupied until she is ready to receive us.
A delightful breeze and a breathtaking view. What is it like in the future? Is the world still a beautiful place?
As beautiful as ever. Some parts yes, others not so much.
Dark, hidden places, rife with danger. Those have an altogether different, but no less powerful sort of appeal. While we wait, will you not tell me about your adventures?
Okay.
Well, not the portentous events which led you here, but the simple delights all your own. By learning about the future world, I may gain insight into future me's plans. But more than that, I have an interest simply as a fellow traveler. Short of going somewhere oneself, there's naught more stirring than hearing another's account.
must have told her something funny. Clearly just told her about Horsefant. With that emote.
Incredible. Would that I could have been there to see it.
I mean, you were, kinda.
Yours is a harsh and unforgiving world. Yet in spite of this, your brethren hold fast to their virtue. To know that the light of mankind's potential still shines, even in that faraway place, it gives me heart. Thank you for regaling me with your tales. I will treasure every word. As you know, I was once a scholar. And among other things, I sought to understand the workings of the world. What exactly is ether? How formed the laws of nature? Whence sprung mankind? Riddles and mysteries beyond counting. Over the years, I have managed to find answers to some few of them. Yet rather than attain a sense of mastery, the more I understood, the more I came to hold the world and its miracles in awe. We too are miracles, each and every one of us, born of the warm breath of life that traverses the heavens, swirling through eternity. When I fully grasped the improbability of our existence, nothing felt impossible anymore. If it could be imagined, it could be done. A passion swelled within me, an epiphany dispelling all preconceptions of what was natural and true. And a presence without, immense yet intimate, fate perhaps, holding us in its tender embrace. As reassuring as it was intimidating, how keenly aware I became of creation's fragility, built as it is upon precarious happenstance. I was overcome with an irrepressible urge to know the world more intimately, to hear its voice, feel its breath. I ventured forth on a journey that very day, so very long ago now. Freed from presumption and prejudice, I saw the world through a newborn's eyes. Everything fresh and new, and so beautiful. Lands that stretched on forever. Skies one could drown in. The heartbeat of nature, silent yet strong. And amidst it all a people, beacons of light and life. Laughter that warmed my heart like naught else before. They are my meaning, and my purpose, my love. And so long as they need help, I cannot return to the star. Perhaps my future self is still waiting for it. The moment she can let go and walk unto the end. Safe in the knowledge that man will find his own way. You, who are our future, tell me this, and tell me true. Has your journey been good? Has it been worthwhile? Pray forgive my lateness.
We don't get to answer.
My observation subject was rather irritable, and it took a while to settle it down.
No need to apologize. Your work takes precedence. Besides, we had a pleasant conversation in the meantime.
You're too kind. Now then, I'm told you wished to ask me some questions.
Indeed. I've an interest in one of Hermes' creations. Meteon. You witnessed a host of them take flight, yes?
Oh, that! Yes, yes, I did. 'Twas in the dark of the morn. I'd left the Thalassai after nocturnal observation. As I walked along, I spied a bright light climbing high into the southeastern skies. Then, in an instant, it was gone, like a shooting star, only rising rather than falling. But then another shot up, then another, and another. Intrigued, I made my way to the edge to investigate. And who should I spy on an isle to the south but Hermes and Meteon, the Metea, rather. There were lots of them, and I realized they must be the shooting stars that I'd seen.
A dazzling spectacle indeed. Have you spoken with Hermes about this?
Oh, yes. The sight left such an impression on me that I approached him about his mystery project the very next day. Alas, he said that he couldn't reveal anything just yet, that he needed to conduct further tests. It shouldn't be long now, though. He often returns to that isle, and I have a feeling he's nearing a breakthrough.
I see.
Splendid. We are likewise eager for the details. Well, that is all we wish to ask. Thank you for taking the time to indulge our curiosity.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to speak with other inquisitive souls. Oh, and will you be descending now? If so, I shall link the doors for you.
Please.
Fun bit of trivia. When I did this the first time, I was a Viera, and when Emmett Selk embiggens you, he makes Viera as tall as he is. So I assume he does the same with Elizin and Rogadin. So, another piece of the puzzle falls into place. From what we've learned thus far, I think we can safely conclude that Hermes hasn't been revealing the details of his research to others, which suggests that either someone will appropriate his discoveries and make use of them, or that Hermes himself will have a hand in causing the final days. Since we have no reason yet to suspect the former, we should consider the latter the more likely possibility. Proceeding under that assumption, our next step should be to divine why, or even if, he might desire such a terrible fate for our star. Worthy of his back. I should like to visit the site from which Hermes sent forth the Meteor. If we are fortunate, we might find some hint of what drives this research of his. Galeen said she spotted them in the southeast, rising from an isle she can see from the edge. If we stand at the same vantage point, it should not prove too difficult to locate the isle in question. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay. Whee! It's like Quirrell with antlers. Now, if we were conducting some mystery research, if I were conducting some mystery research, where would I go? Ah, what about that one? Have you the means to fly? 'Tis quite a distance away. Yeah, at this point in the story, we wouldn't have been able to fly here yet. Inconvenient, but hardly an insurmountable problem. To me, Argos. My friend, would you mind creating a double to carry Asuka here over to that island? He doesn't want to. Stubborn creature. There's no place on this great star we have not together traveled, and still he remains obstinate in the presence of strangers. Argos has rather exacting standards, I'm afraid. I've met him in the future. What? You've ridden him before? Ah, your before, meaning my after. Not at all confusing, that. Interesting. Tis certainly not unthinkable. But speaking of the here and now, the quick solution is for us to face off in a sparring match. What? Demonstrate to him that you are capable of holding your own against me in battle, and you should convince Argos that you are worthy of his back. And besides, I might even teach you a thing or two into the bargain. That's a weird sentence structure. You seem doubtful, but useful lesson or not, it will certainly be a moment to remember, a memory of the distant past to cherish. What say you, traveler out of time? Choose your battlefield. I admire your confidence. Clear your mind and prepare your weapons. I will await you in the clearing over yonder. Yep, we're gonna fight. And we'll zoom out so we can see the whole thing. Shall we begin? Be warned, I will not go easy on you. Yes, we will begin. Alright.
Let neither side hold back.
Right now she's using sword and shield like a paladin. Ow.
My blade sings!
What are you planning to do? Oh, you made multiples of yourself. Those are gonna move.
My blade sings!
She's throwing all kinds of crazy moves at us.
Impressive. I shall have to try something different.
What is that? Oh, she's a dancer now. I have those chakras. I just don't have them attached to a glamour right now.
taste!
That was a little rough to try to manage.
I see you won't be easily overcome, but neither will I.
Oh, so now she's a white mage. Oh, gotta go. Do with this. Overlapping abilities at us that are hard to dodge.
Very well. Let us move to the final trial.
Okay. Get rid of those. Oh, more thingies. Yeah, more. How many of these is she gonna summon? Is that it? Is that all of them? You're done.
Break your chains, shed your burdens, and show me your strength of will! You still stand. The people of your time are more resilient than I had dared hope. I have seen enough.
Have you? Yay. We did it.
Twas my intent to finish it, but clearly I underestimated you. One would think I never learn. I made the same mistake with Azem when we first sparred. Despite being less than half my age, her strength was astounding. As is yours. 'Tis plain you have weathered considerable hardship. Far more even than your tales would suggest. It seems we have both learned much on our journeys.
Hi, Argos. Two Argoi.
Well now, I dare say he has warmed to you. A boon to be sure. He never forgets his favorites, and is ever eager to come to their aid.
Argos will soon have us standing on the very spot where the meteor made their departure into the night sky. With luck, we will learn something of Hermes' intentions. My hope is that we will find no connection, no festering wish for oblivion, and we might have Hermes and his considerable expertise working for us, rather than against us. Flower upon your return. Let us move over to the edge before mounting, shall we? That will allow Argos to catch the currents rising up from below and give us a smooth ride over to the isle. Alrighty. Argos motions to his back with his muzzle. You've been given the go-ahead to hop on. Isn't this pleasant? Argos certainly seems to think so. Now, what was the name of that tree? Noe something. No, Noete Forion. Quite a striking specimen. Specimen, is it not? Brace yourself for the landing. I wouldn't want you tumbling off at the last moment.
Quite a small place, lacking even the most basic equipment. The present may yield no clues, but we may yet try perusing the past. Have you done this before?
Never on purpose.
So you cannot control the power freely. Worry not. I shall assist you. Come and stand before me. There are two ways to see the past. The first entails peering through the walls of the soul in the moment a subject is recalling a memory. The second requires no subject, and is instead a process of piecing together an event from ripples left in the ambient ether. As memories are etched upon the ether of the soul, so too are they etched upon the ether of the world. In this way can history be preserved. Such memories are given to fading, however, and can prove challenging to visit. But come, let us try. Close your eyes.
All units fully functional and proceeding on course towards their respective stars. Estimated time to completion of survey is 108 cycles. End of status report. severing connection with shared consciousness. Did you hear that, Hermes? All is well.
Yes. Good tidings at long last. Every step of the way, I've been reminded how little we understand creation. How the universe defies imagination.
But soon we won't need to speculate. We'll know the answers. What others live for.
Indeed. And we'll owe it all to you and your sisters.
I wonder what answers we will get.
Whatever intelligent beings that exist out there are bound to be vastly different from us. Diverse in form and culture, possessed of unique ways of thinking. Their conception of life and its purpose will be no exception. Completely and utterly unlike ours.
Utterly unlike... how?
I have no idea. Yet whatever answers we receive, I will not dismiss them out of hand. No, I will think earnestly on them all, and I will share them with our people, that together we may contemplate our own existence. Perhaps then our star will become a better place, not only for man, but for all life. Meteon, though I gave you wings to soar the heavens, I did not teach you how to walk the earth. So loath was I to bind another living being. In the course of your long journey, you will learn from those you meet, learn to walk and run and so much more. And when you return, older and wiser, we will have a celebration to mark your homecoming and coming of age both.
Will there be apples? Covered in syrup?
And how are you supposed to eat them? Rather than food, perhaps... a flower. Yes. Upon your return, I will gift you a beautiful flower.
So, what is your opinion?
Hermes wouldn't wish for the final days. Hermes is a gentle soul, and yet, I couldn't say just by this moment alone. I don't think he would wish for the final days. Not as he is now.
I'm inclined to agree. As we had suspected, the two are somehow involved. Yet 'tis difficult to believe that they would deliberately seek to end all life. In light of this, I propose that we reveal your tale to Hermes himself. If he does not wish for the final days, as we believe, he may well join us in pursuing a solution.
Okay.
Then it is settled. Let us seek out our friend with all swiftness. 'Twould not do to let such a pure soul be blackened by tragedy.
There are any number of places where Hermes might be in Elpis. But we could do worse than to look in Catissus Hyperborea, the largest facility. It stands on Ethoceliticos aureus, the Northern Isle. I wonder, Oscar, for an institution which claims to studiously research every species destined for release into the world, do you not question how they find room for them all in so few islands? The answer lies within Catissus itself. I touched upon the practice before back at the archives, where a vast area is stitched together out of multiple conceptual spaces. The same holds true for the interior of this facility and its magically constructed environs. It is there, within those sprawling habitats, that the chief overseer and most of Elpis' observers conduct the bulk of their work. Come, the simplest route is via the Neas north of Poeton Oikos. Okay. So, a theory. Elidibus said we can't. When he said we can't change the events of the past, the way he said it sounded like he was telling us not to. But what if we can't change them because we were always meant to come back here? I guess we'll see. It's one or the other. Ah, good. The Neas acknowledged you as my guest. You should now have the authority to use it as you wish. As for the way to Catissus Hyperborea, we follow this path, then turn left at the crossroads. Or we can fly there directly. Tall building. Here we are, the grandest research facility in Elpis. We should head inside and ask after Hermes' whereabouts. Hermes is at another facility, as we have just discovered. No, I'm at Selkint Hythlodaeus. Hello. Furthermore, we've confirmed that his studies into Dynamis, as well as his creation of Medion, were entirely private pursuits. No one else we spoke with appeared to possess the chief's depth of knowledge on the subject, and neither did we hear any tales of stolen research. Which means that if Hermes himself harbors no desire to bring down an apocalypse, then he might be recruited to help prevent one. Or, so saith the illustrious Emmet Selk. What? But that's our plan. According to your story, the 14 divined the connection between the celestial currents and the final days, but were never able to pinpoint the root cause of the calamity. With our people's greatest minds, not to mention Hythlodaeus' sharp eyes, committed to the pursuit of a solution, such an outcome seems inconceivable. The only possible explanation is if the nature of the catalyst was so inexplicable that even we failed to perceive it. And what better fits that description than the invisible, intangible Dynamis? So you believe it. Which in turn leads us to our next question. How did Hermes, in his role as Fandaniel, not recognize the subject of his own research? We must assume that he either knew and was unable to help, or that he was otherwise prevented from identifying the cause in the first place. At this juncture, all we can do is speculate. To be clear, the Convocation does not tolerate acts of deception or malice. We are practiced at perceiving truth and would have known had Fandaniel lied to us. Hermes has no conscious wish for the world to end. Of that I am certain. It seems there is more to the tale after all. We conducted an investigation of our own, you see. How comforting. We seem to have reached the exact same conclusion. I see no reason to delay further. 'Tis time we brought Hermes into the fold, as it were. Thank you for your understanding. Save your thanks. I did not say I believed your ridiculous story. But as Emmett Silk, I have a duty to examine any potential threat to our existence, no matter how ludicrous or personally offensive I may find it. But that's where we'll end this video for now, and when we come back, we'll go find Hermes and bring him into the fold. Until then, here are our new old friends.